Don't purposely live in a way that people dislike you, but don't be afraid to be disliked. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to What's the Point? This is the third episode where we talk about the book The Courage to be Disliked. If you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, please go check them out. But if you haven't, anyways, hi. And let's get straight with the episode. This book essentially is a free-flowing conversation between this young guy who we call Youth and the philosopher. The philosopher and Youth are having this discussion, right? And they pick up right where they left off, where they were talking about competition. The philosopher asks Youth that why do you think we see other people as our enemies and why do you think there's so much competition? It's because we've lost courage and we're running away from our life tasks. Youth says, bro, what the hell is a life task? The philosopher says that Adler created 3 categories of interpersonal relationships. Number 1 are the tasks of work. Number 2 are the tasks of friendship. And number 3 are the tasks of love. The philosopher says that let's say there's person A who you don't like because there are some flaws about this person that you can't forgive. It's actually the opposite. In reality, your goal from the start is to dislike this person, and therefore you start looking for flaws so you can fulfill your goal of disliking them. Youth says, bro, complete BS. Why would I actually actively want to dislike someone? Like, that doesn't even make sense. The philosopher says that so you can avoid getting into an interpersonal relationship with that person. Youth says this is completely backwards. I would never set off by wanting to dislike someone. It's because of something in them or something about them that I don't like them, and that's not my fault. The philosopher says that, okay, it's easier to explain this with someone who you've had a relationship with. When there's a couple, after a point, you start getting annoyed with everything that your partner does. The way they snort, the way they talk, the way they breathe, everything. Because you've already made up in your mind that, okay, I don't want to like this person, I don't want to get into this relationship, I want to get out. And so you start finding reasons to find flaws in them. You just look for materials to fulfill your goal. And that person, your partner, hasn't changed at all. It's your goal that has changed. Youth says, so you're basically saying that I make up flaws in other people so I can avoid interpersonal relationships. Philosopher's like, yeah, exactly. I don't know anything about your past, but I know that right now, it's you who chooses your lifestyle and the way you see the world. If our lifestyle was determined by other people, we could put the blame and the responsibility on them. But it's only us who chooses our lifestyle. The concept of lifestyle, by the way, guys, is nothing but the way you look at life. We discussed this in detail in the first episode of this book. So go check that out in case this is a bit confusing. Youth is like, so at this point, you're basically saying that I am responsible for everything. The philosopher's like, no, I'm saying you're responsible for everything you do and everything in your life. At this point, Youth has just got so much theory and so much of this ideal nonsense in his head that he just bursts and says that, okay, you know what? I simply don't have the confidence in myself. And I am scared of interacting with people. I am scared of interpersonal relationships, but that's just the way I am. All you're saying is that you lack the courage, and you need to find it. That's like telling a sad person, don't be sad. It doesn't work. The philosopher says, okay, so instead of theory, you'd like specific steps. Youth is obviously like, yeah, please. At this point, the philosopher brings up the concept of freedom and he asks Youth, what is freedom to you? Youth says freedom is financial freedom, having enough money to do whatever you want. Philosopher then says, okay, so let's say that you've gained financial freedom. What other problems would still remain in your life? The interpersonal relationship problems that we've been discussing so far. You might have all the money in the world, but if you have no friends, you have no one to love, then I guess that's a very lonely life to live. Philosopher says, yeah, correct, you're right. Now, what is it about these interpersonal relationships that robs us of our freedom? Why do they keep putting us down? It says that I think we feel the need to be liked by others and you want to make them happy. The philosopher says, correct, you finally got the point that we have this universal need to be recognized and this desire to be liked. But Adlerian psychology denies the need for this desire of recognition. Youth says like, what bullshit, this is a very, very universal desire and of course I want to be liked. Like, who doesn't want to be liked? The philosopher says that, okay, see, while being recognized and getting this recognition makes us happy, it's not a necessity. For example, you've been picking up the trash in your office every single day, but nobody notices it. Would you still pick up the trash? Would you continue? Youth says, maybe not. If no one notices, why would I do it? Philosopher says that exactly is the issue with this desire for recognition. It goes by the logic that if you take appropriate action, you will be loved, you will be recognized. And so then if you won't be recognized, then you won't even take that action. It leads to a very mistaken lifestyle because then we just think that if no one's going to praise me, then I should not even do that. Why would I do that, even if it's the right thing? Youth says, okay, yeah, that's true, but wanting to be recognized by people is a very, very normal desire. Philosopher says that, okay, look, this is where you're mistaken because we're not living to satisfy other people's expectations of us, are we? Youth says, okay, so you're saying that we should only think about ourselves and be self-centered. Philosopher says it's actually the opposite. When we seek recognition from others, we're basically thinking about how they see us. So even if it looks like we're thinking about them, we're only thinking about us. Wanting to be recognized so badly by someone else will want you to want to be the kind of person who they like. And you'll, basically start living according to their values and what they want. You'll just throw away who you are and start living according to their values. For example, if you're at your job and you just want to be liked by your co-workers, by your boss, it's going to be so hard for you because you're always worried about their judgment of you and what everyone's thinking about you, and every text message you send on Slack is going to be like, oh, should I put an extra exclamation mark just so this person likes me? Honestly guys, I have felt this in my own life. I'm a big people pleaser, so I get it. Like, when you do something just because you want someone else to like you. But the philosopher says that this is such an unfree and stressful way to live. Youth says, but you're basically just denying how society works. We recognize others, they recognize us. That's how we feel valued, and that's how humans work. What you're suggesting is a very isolated way of living. The philosopher says, okay, relax. Let me explain to you the concept of separation of tasks. Let's say that there's a child. This child does not do their homework, doesn't show up to class, doesn't do anything on time. If you were the parent of this child, what would you do right now? Youth says that I'd punish him, yell at him, and do whatever to get him to work. Philosopher says, okay, fine. Now let's see this same situation from an Adlerian psychology point of view. Whose task is it to do this homework? It's the child's task, not the parent's task. And when the parents are forcefully telling this child to study, they're basically interfering on the child's task. And in general, all interpersonal relationship problems are caused by other people intruding on other people's life tasks. Simply carrying out this separation of tasks is something that can drastically change the quality of your interpersonal relationships. Youth says that, okay, I really don't understand this. Firstly, how can I tell whose task it is? And secondly, being the parents of this child, isn't it their responsibility to make sure the child studies? It's literally their duty, because no child actually studies out of enjoyment or whatever. The philosopher says that it's very simple to know whose task it is. You just ask the question, who is going to ultimately be affected by this if the task is not done? Youth is like, no, but it's the parents' responsibility. It's literally their child. You're saying that they should just let the child be and live in an irresponsible manner. The parents should know what the child is up to, and they should protect the child. They should tell the child that it's their task to study. They should let him know that they're there for them if he needs help. But they mustn't intrude on the child's task. Like how you can lead the horse to the water, but ultimately it's the horse who has to drink. It basically goes back to the discussion that only you're the one who can change yourself. Youth says that, okay, but by this logic, you're just saying that we can't believe in anyone anymore because then that's their task. The philosopher is like, no, believing in someone, that is your task. Like, you having that trust in them is your task. But whether they choose to live according to the way you see them, that's their task. You believe in your partner, that they're going to be faithful to you, that's your task. But if they act in accordance with your expectations and your trust, that is their task. Just learn that, okay, this is my task, and after this is not my problem. Youth is like, this just doesn't sit right with me, and this is such an inhuman, isolated way to live. How can one actually form good relationships with other people if it's like, okay, it's your task, it's your task? Like, how can you actually form deep relationships with someone? Philosopher says that think about this in a way that you're reading a book. When you're too close to a book, like it's here, like you literally can't see anything. It's too far, you can't see anything. Similarly, in good interpersonal relationships, healthy ones, there's a certain amount of distance needed. We should be ready to lend a helping hand to this person if needed, but you don't have to go and intrude in their task. Youth says, okay, fine, this is fine. But look, when our parents say, do something with your life, study, get a job, when our parents tell us all this, it's a sign of concern from them. You can't just say that it's not my task and walk away. That's such an inhuman way to live. Philosopher now says that, okay, so to some extent you want them to intervene in your life. Youth's like, okay, yeah, maybe I do. Living exactly as I like is kind of hard. What do I want? What do I want to become? I don't know all this. It's not difficult to judge what someone else wants from me and what they expect from me. I can do it. But what do I want? What do I want to do? What do I want to become? I don't know all this. The philosopher says, yeah, maybe it is easier to live according to other people's expectations because you're making them responsible for your life. You go according to how your parents have laid out your life for you. Even if it's not exactly how you want it, you at least have some path to follow. You won't be lost. But when you're choosing your own path, there is always a chance that you could get lost. Should you choose a life of recognition from others, or should you choose a life of freedom without recognition from others? To live based on other people's feelings and other people's expectations, isn't that such an unfree way to live? So the philosopher tells you that you keep using the term desire for recognition, but all you're saying is that you don't want to be disliked. Truth is, yeah, but who wants to be disliked? Philosopher is like, true, nobody wants to be disliked. But to not be disliked, you need to constantly be gauging people's feelings, their judgments, and what they think about you, and live according to that. Before you know it, you'll be lying, making promises you can't keep, and you'll just burn out and get fed up. Youth's like, okay, so you're saying I should be egocentric and live exactly how I please? The philosopher says that separating tasks isn't egocentric. interfering in other people's task is, because then you want to control them. The philosopher also brings up this point that, okay, fine, despite not wanting to be disliked, I'm sure there are people who don't like you. Like, you're not loved by everyone, right? How does that make you feel? And youth is like, yeah, that makes me feel very stressed. I wonder why they hate me. I wonder what I said or did, and I just keep overthinking about it. The philosopher says that not wanting to be disliked is a very natural human desire. But resisting this desire is what freedom is. In short, freedom is being disliked by people, or being okay with being disliked by people. It's proof that you're exercising your freedom and living according to your own principles. It's very stressful to keep conducting yourself in a way how other people want. And not being disliked by anyone is a very stressful way to live. All I'm saying is that don't be afraid to be disliked. Don't purposely live in a way that people dislike you, but don't be afraid to be disliked. Let's say that someone hates you. If someone does hate you, that's not your task. Thinking he should like me, she should like me, what did I do wrong, is such a stressful way to live. The philosopher says that if I had to choose a life where everyone hated me or everyone loved me, I would choose where everyone dislikes me, because then at least I can live according to my own values. The philosopher ends by saying that I don't want to be disliked, but I don't mind if I am. Once you've gained the courage to do this, your interpersonal relationships will feel a lot lighter and easier. This is where the third part of the book ends, and the youth goes back to do some reflecting on everything that they've discussed so far. Therefore, this is where this episode also ends, and I will be back in the next episode where we discuss the fourth part of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it makes sense, and yeah, let me know how you felt about this episode in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.